Croeso Sianel Black Fluid. We're back with one of the May Wolf Jam VNs, Labour of Love by Rainy Midwest Studios. I said I'd be doing a couple more of the VNs from that little competition, so this is one of them. A couple more I might be trying to do over the next couple of months. I'm not going to rush through these, so it might be like September and we're doing something from May, but why not? So this is going to be a one-off video just for this VN, and that's all I'm going to say for now. Let's get into it. It's hard for me to focus sometimes. Staring at the same bright light, devoid of creativity or emotion, just becomes too tedious, even as I force myself to thrust some creation upon it. Sometimes I get distracted. The temptation of a quick water break, watching a video online, seeing what other people are posting. It's the little things. A 10-minute reprieve from slaving over my keyboard. Sometimes the ideas escape me. Rushing me, tease me of their mere existence, only to be drawn into the maw with everything else, knowing I cannot hope to save them. Sometimes I type away fruitlessly. The words come out, but it doesn't resonate. It doesn't... I always felt corny saying click, but it's true in some ways, I suppose. Lurk around writing forums enough, and you often see one phrase parroted above all others. Just start writing whatever comes to mind. Normally great advice, when your mind isn't being thrown against the block. It's the advice I've given so many times when prompted about my previous success, though that mantra, the method I've come to rely on, has only failed me this time. Now I'm stuck staring at the horrid blank canvas, the only sign of life being that damn blinking cursor after I'd taken care to erase everything off of it. God, I fucking hate it. It wasn't too long ago that I'd see an empty page, a digital realm where thoughts become tangible through simple keystrokes, and get excited. I mean, who wouldn't? You're unbound by any past work, and burdened by a word count, by a page count. It's just you, your ideas, and a world of possibilities all contained within a computer screen. Almost 6 months of staring at said empty page has killed whatever part of me felt excitement. It drowned that eagerness, that enthusiasm in an endless white void. Fuck. The expletive comes out at a whisper, a silent prayer to whichever cruel god permits such a thing as writer's block to exist to end my suffering. If they won't do that, then maybe they can take pity on me and give me some damn inspiration. Please? Fuck. I throw my paws up, pushing away from my desk and away from that mocking screen. I want to pick up the laptop and fling it across the room, or punch the screen, or hell, even punch the wall behind it. I sigh, loudly, loud enough that it's more of a groan. Maybe, when I was younger, I'd do something stupid like that. Instead, I let my arms drop back to my side. My eyes drift over to the clock on the computer's taskbar. Almost midnight. I've really been sitting here for 4 hours just staring at an empty page, haven't I? God, that's depressing. No sense in making it another 4, I suppose. With another sigh, I close my laptop. It's the ultimate expression of defeat, one I've grown far too accustomed to. I didn't even bother to close the document. Not like there's anything worth saving, anyhow. Rubbing at my eyes, a yawn escapes past my lips. I feel like I could fall asleep in my chair right now. It wouldn't be the first time I've done so, though that was usually after a long day of actually writing something. Doing so tonight would feel disrespectful to that long-dead version of me. I think Benny would kill me too. Not wanting to die just yet, I swivel round in the plush leather chair, sitting up far too quickly as I feel blood rush back into my legs. Ooh. That wasn't a good sound. There's a crack from somewhere in my body, my knees, or maybe my back. It's hard to tell. It's not the pleasant sensation you get from popping your knuckles or neck in just the right way. No, that cracking just now is a cruel reminder that I'm pushing 45. Oh well, just gotta learn to live with it. I crossed my small windowless office with as much speed as I can muster. It's certainly an impressive sight, I imagine. A chubby, middle-aged elk whose fur is already greying, moving with all the grace of a wounded animal. Yeah, I need to get to bed. This is what happens when I stay up too late. Yawning once again, I reach the office door and pull it open. All of the lights are out, save for one above the kitchen's counter. That means Benny's probably already upstairs. Whether or not he's asleep is another question. Back when I was actually writing pages upon pages of work and I didn't fall asleep in my office, I'd stumble upstairs to find my wolf half awake, a paw resting on my side of the bed. I'd climb in, making sure my antlers didn't poke his eyes out, and he'd be on me in an instant, slotting in against my bulk with a content grumble. He's such a canine sometimes, and I love it. This happy thought is quickly overshadowed by the fact that I hadn't been in there writing pages upon pages of work. I'd done nothing. Now I'll stumble upstairs, climb into bed, have my wolf snuggle up against me, and feel nothing. Stretching a few times before closing the office door behind me, I lumber across the laminate floor. The TV going still? Did Benny leave it on? My weary eyes set on the fridge before I get too distracted. I'll check on it later. Maybe. Drink first. Sitting and staring at a blank computer screen for 4 hours really makes you thirsty. I reach the fridge in a few strides and pull it open. Expecting to find well-stocked shelves, and specifically some orange juice, I found a cold, frigid space, lacking anything fresh. Right, we're leaving town tomorrow. No groceries. Another sigh, another bit of disappointment. I'm not even sure if I'm excited about the trip now. Closing the fridge, I instead opt for a glass of water. It's better than nothing, and I downed it in a few quick gulps. The used cup finds its home on the countertop, and make my way towards the stairs, feeling a malaise settle over me like a heavy blanket. Don't even really look around the living room as I walk with my body operating on autopilot as it carries me towards the stairs. Just as I reach them, my ears flick once, and then twice, a sound capturing their attention. It's the sound of rain on glass. A gentle trickle of pitter-patters before the heavens open up and release a downpour. Even as high as up we are in our downtown apartment, we can still watch the rain fall. It's a pleasant sight on most days. Now I'm not in the best of moods, my eyes are still drawn toward the living room's windows. Again my feet move on their own, following my eyes in their desire to watch the storm. A downpour indeed, but not a violent one. Water streaks down the glass in great waves, rain carried on a wade-in wind. Some of the more severe storms would see the windows of the building rattle and creak as the elements test the structure. But right now it's standing firm. Permits me a mystifying view of the city below. The harsh LED lights and artificial neon are mere twinkles amidst a sea of black. An artificial night sky, all dancing and melting together within the water that cascades down the windows. It's like watching a moving, abstract oil painting, or perhaps a watercolour one. The window, a canvas, a medium to reflect wait, shit. I think I had something there. Fuck. I throw up my paws in exasperation before they rub over my eyes and snout. Another moment of inspiration, snapped up by some unseeable force. An invisible black hole has been following me for months now. Only this one permits no idea to escape its gaping maw. It's maddening at this point, even more so because I know what I want to write. Just can't find any way to make the idea a reality. The scene right here, me staring out into the rainy night, the city awash with the artificial dressings of a decadent society. It's what gave me that first idea all those months ago. A noir story. Gangsters, cigarette smoke, dangerous love and deadly crime. All a backdrop to the story of a stalwart private investigator doing his best to carve out living in a corrupt society. All the elements are there, floating around my stupid head, but I can't get them out. It's fucking... Oh, it's raining. Dios mío! The sudden southern drawl startled me out of my musings. I whip round to its source, my right antler bumping against the window and almost throw me off balance. Benny's scruffy, sleep-deprived face is poking over the back of the couch. His glasses askew and fur matted on one side. He's surprised, yet alert, and looks ready to leap over the couch to catch me if I lost my balance. Yes, he'd been sleeping on the couch. Looks like the TV's on, too. It's muted, my eyes flit over to it, catching glimpses of an episode of an old sci-fi TV show. Spaceships, wolves, jackals, that sort of thing. Not my cup of tea. I steady myself, looking back at Benny. Ben, don't scare me like that. Could have broken an antler if I hit the window any harder. Sorry, Dave. You okay? You didn't chip or anything, did you? I reach up, run the paw along the antler's length, feeling out its 8 points. Thankfully, everything's still there. No, it's fine. Oh, thank God. Would rather not have to glue you back together. Benny lets out a boisterous laugh at that. While it's tinged with a palpable air of exhaustion, it's still light and free. It lifts my own mood too, and I join in. Yeah, that'd be pretty shitty. Well, a nice repeat of our honeymoon, I'd say. Anyway. Benny adjusts himself on the couch, sitting up while turned around so he can better look at me. How things going there, then? I wince. It's the $1,000,000 question, one I've always been tempted to tell Benny not to ask, especially nowadays. Before, I used to be able to go into minute-long diatribes about what I'd gotten done. I'd have divulged as many plotlines and character moments he'd want to hear, and kept many more hidden for when he'd read the story himself. It's what I'd done with my first novel, that runaway success I've yet to capitalise on. Nothing like that has happened tonight, though. I can see that Benny has his answer from just looking at me. Oh, shoot. Come here, Xavier. He pats the empty space to his right, beckoning me over. Well, I prefer we head up to bed, especially considering we've got an early flight tomorrow morning. Lounging on the couch with my wolf is just what I need right now. Don't even bother walking around the couch. Instead, I clamber over its backside while making sure I don't shove a hoof through a glass coffee table in the process. I sit down the space Benny made for me. For a split second, I slowly move to lean into him. Then I remember the antlers. It's impossible to snuggle against Benny when I have them. That's a luxury I can only afford a few months out of the year. He still makes it work, though. The minute my butt finds purchase against the plush fabric, he's on me. Soft furred arms wrap around my waist. Benny pulls himself in, or maybe he pulls me close. It's hard to tell with his strength sometimes. Either way, he finds his preferred spot with his legs locking mine in a loose vice grip, his body pressing against mine as he nuzzles my chest. He rests his head against it with a content grumble. I, in turn, settle my chin against his head and wrap my own arms around his body, leaning back against the couch's armrest. The smell of his fur wash, still as strong as this morning, hits my nostrils immediately. Blueberry and vanilla, wrapped up with his natural scent. It provides an immediate relief. Sorry, Xavier. I shouldn't have asked that. I know it's been a tough few days for you. More like a tough few months. It's... The temptation to vent my frustrations is there. I know Benny would listen to them and maybe even offer some good advice. He's a world-class project manager after all, so I've been living out in London for 5 years now. Has the uncanny ability to salvage even the most dire of situations and guide them through to completion. It's exactly what I need right now. Fine. I'd rather not talk about it. I don't want to ruin this moment either. He's got enough on his plate as it is. Best to change the subject. We fly out tomorrow morning, right? Well, that we do. This time tomorrow I'll be sleeping soundly in our luxury Venice hotel. Or dancing our brains out in the nightclub. Benny gives another hearty laugh. You hate nightclubs, son. The crowds are stressful, yeah. but it's manageable with you around. He pushes into me at that, letting out another grumble as his right paw finds purchase against my left one with a gentle squeeze. Well, won't have much time for that anyhow. Got that winery tour, the dinner, the concert, the museums, the architecture tour, the beach. There's a soft thumping against the couch as Benny continues on summarising our trip's activities. This pub-like excitement is something I'll never get tired of, even after spending almost 25 years together. He has a right to be excited. This all-weekend getaway is his brainchild. The time we build it is a celebratory trip for the successful publication of my first novel. But work soon piled up for my wolf, and the summer months came and went. To say Benny was upset at not being able to make it work is an understatement. He'd come home and flop onto the couch, sometimes falling asleep for a few hours, sometimes just staring blankly at the ceiling. I hated seeing it, and had half a mind to lay into his boss for putting so much work on him. But he managed, far better than I had with my own work issues. And here we are again, on the cusp of the long-planned weekend getaway. Only now, I'm the one who's stressed to the breaking point. I've not been able to write for months now. I'm stalled out, exhausted, just tired of it all. So much for trying to capitalise on my past success so I can actually start to contribute. Xavier, you're awake up there. Huh? What? Shit, I got lost in my thoughts. I looked down at Benny, finding his piercing yellow eyes focused on me. Yeah, sorry, I was just... never mind. Yeah, that all sounds like it'll keep us busy. I eke out a half-hearted enthused chuckle. Never been good at hiding my feelings. I'm very much a wear your heart on your sleeves kind of elk. Be nice to see some sun. I don't think I could take another cloudy day at this point. Right. Well, that's for damn sure. We don't have to do everything I scheduled. Harvard didn't even need a down payment, so we can flake as much as we want. I quirk a brow at that, a smirk forming in my muzzle. You? Flake? Since when? Well, since right now. This is our vacation. Even though it's only 3 days and most of it's over the weekend, I ain't letting anything keep me from going with the flow. The only electronic device I'm bringing is my phone. No laptop. If work calls me, I ain't picking up. Benny's had to work a few hours on the weekends the past several months. Something to do with an ad campaign he didn't get over the finish line. Hearing such a firm commitment from him does come as a surprise, though. Leaving poor Tucker to fend for himself? Benny scoffs at that, waving a paw lazily in the air. That kid's going to do just fine without me. Besides, we're just about done with that damn project. I'd be getting a call this weekend. It's just going to be me, you, and all Italy has to offer. At that, I angle my muzzle down some, planting a kiss on the top of Benny's head. He lets out a content grumble, nestling himself further against me. Who knows? Maybe this little old trip will be enough to get out of this bout of writer's block. Some time off work always does me wonders. I frown at that. More unsolicited advice. I mean, it is good advice, but fuck. Something about it just makes my fur bristle. Maybe it's because it sounds like Benny's been worried about me. He shouldn't have to be. He's got enough to be worried about without trying to manage a writer with an abysmal workflow. I catch Benny's piercing yellow gaze on me again. Right, yeah. Another half-hearted laugh, another piss-poor deflection. I think it'll help, My train of thought is unceremoniously cut off by a yawn. It's long and whining. As I shift to stretch with it, I can hear Benny give one as well. We should head to bed. Gotta brave the airport tomorrow. Oh, you'll be just right, Xavier. Yeah, you got the travel expert here. You're right, though. Bedtime. Although... Suddenly there's a paw reaching underneath my tank top, brushing against the fur on my belly and chest, while creeping lower, stopping just near my waistband. You in the mood for a little pre-vacation fun? There's a tug on my waistband, his paw ready to dive in. I shiver at the sudden intimacy, welcoming it wholeheartedly for a moment before that wave of exhaustion and stress returns. It's a strange combination of emotions. I don't like it. It kills any desire I might have had for some fun. Let's save the actual vacation, yeah?
Goodness me, my majestic elk wants to do on the beach then. There's a scandalous idea.
Benny does retract his paw, not for a few more idle rubs and a kiss on my cheek. Perondo. There's a few more whacks against the couch on Penny's tail before he sits up, pushing himself onto the floor. He helps me over the paw as well, pulling me in tight for another quick kiss.
Only for you.
And at that we head up to the bed together, my eyes drifting over the window as we climb the stairs. That fleeting idea, this grand concept, always heavy on my mind. It's out there somewhere. But maybe this vacation, its respite, would do me well. And maybe within it, I can find some inspiration. Being a travel expert can only help you so much against the ever-changing impartial whims of airline travel. We got to the airport on time, then had to wait almost half an hour in security. Benny's the only one who travels frequently, and while he could have used his expedited clearance, he opted to brave the general security with me. Thank God he did. I don't think I could have done it alone. I despise these kinds of crowds. Everyone's always pushing and shoving and yelling, and just thinking about it again is enough to flare my anxiety. Benny made it all the more manageable, though. We got through just fine, no forgotten passports, and were then met with a 4-hour delay thanks to mechanical issues. The age-old cry of the oppressor, according to Benny. Thankfully, once we boarded our flight, took our seats in business class, again another benefit of Benny's frequent travel, everything's gone swimmingly. The flight? Bumpy but manageable with some cheap in-house wine. Travel the hotel? Delightful. Don't think I ever met a more charismatic cab driver than Gio was. That man could talk himself into the Pentagon. The hotel itself? As luxurious as promised. It almost makes me wish we were spending more than the weekend. Sure, by the time we got there it was almost the evening, but I'm trying to not let it bug me too much. Benny didn't seem all that bothered, though he's usually far better at hiding it than I am. Either way, we made it. We rented a Vespa from a local shop and motored into Venice proper for a casual dinner. Nothing too fancy. That'll be the night of the concert. And now we're enjoying the perfect nightcap to the evening, a stroll through the canals of Venice. It's one of those scenes I've seen in all sorts of media, or I'm being described in books as shown up on the big screen. It's an iconic locale. Truthfully, it's not all that impressive. I mean, sure, the architecture is nice. The use of the waterways for travel is neat, especially considering when the city was first built. Revolutionary at the time, but now it's just another place in the world. And then there's the smell. It's not bad. Actually, it's pretty bad. I was expecting a bit more fresh sea air, but instead I've only picked up a pungent stench that wafts off the canals. I can't quite place it, but it's thankfully offset every now and then by the smell of baked goods and coffee from a nearby cafe. Most are closing up for the evening as Benny and I plod along, taking our sweet time to enjoy being here. And that's what I appreciate the most right now, being here with Benny. There's no pressure from work. No expectations. No deadlines. No publishers sending messages asking how his work on the next book is coming, offering advances and ghostwriters and... No. Stop thinking about it. Just think about being here, with him. Looking at Benny, I find my comfort. There doesn't seem to be a worry in the world for him right now. His snout is wrinkled some, and ears flick at odd intervals. That same stoic expression of his is plastered on his face. I doubt the smells are bothering him that much. So if he can be calm, cool and collected, then so can I. Besides, like he said, I think this vacation is just the thing I needed. A detox, if you will, one to clear the mind away from that dingy office and horrid blank canvas. Benny catches my staring. And he smiles back at me, giving a gentle squeeze on my paw. Yeah, this is exactly what I needed. A leisurely walk down this cobblestone street, our paws entwined with each other, our soles pressed against the smooth stones with each step. I can feel all those anxieties about this phantom idea melt away. And we continue our walk, my mind absorbing the sights much better than I'm actively ignoring the smell. The dull whites and muted yellows from street lamps cast long, dynamic shadows on the stone buildings. It creates a serene yet mysterious atmosphere to this medieval city. There's an outward, obvious comfort to it all. It's just bright enough to push away any thought of cutthroats lurking in the alleys, yet still the dark corners and obscured places remain. Look at each of them as we pass, contemplating the secrets they might hold, the acts they might conceal. I even spy some people lurking in them. Usually they look like a cook or a waiter out for a smoking break, the amber light from a cigarette illuminating just enough of their faces. All are mournful, yet contemplative as they find a brief respite. Within these idle observations, my mind begins to wander. It sets itself to a tune I can't quite place, a small jazz song I'd heard once upon a time. A fleeting memory that I can barely hear as we continue walking. But it is there, and it captivates me, enthralling me to its will as I walk along. Soft, mournful, contemplative. It evokes a feeling of longing and dread. It is punctuated with hopefulness. It ebbs and flows like a spring breeze and bites like a winter chill. Suddenly, all these innocuous sights become all the more vivid. Those figures lurking in the shadows on this smoke break become mysterious visages, each containing their own story just waiting to be explored. The few that walk past us become more characters in this unwritten story. They walk with purpose to some unknown destination, finding reason to continue on within the city. Even those long inanimate shadows on the stone buildings begin to come alive. They begin to dance this mystery tune and latch onto the ever-growing thought within my mind. The idea I've carried with me for months now. The idea I've desperately tried to capture. The noir story. Suddenly a spectre emerges from the shadows. A long trench coat, a fedora, nice shoes. Not so nice that he's a hoity-toity man. He's a working man, a man on a mission doing his best to exist in a corrupt, decadent society, perhaps find purpose. Steely gaze with piercing yellow eyes. He's a wolf on the prowl, marching forward to the tune of this story, his fate unknown but decidedly his to make. I look at this spectre, this character my mind has created, and will him to have a face, to have form. Benny slots effortlessly into his figure, and that's when it hits me. I'm inspired. I've heard some people lament how hard it is to come up with characters. Admittedly, it can be a daunting task, especially when you're talking about the main character of the story. They're the person your reader will spend the most time with. Their thoughts, feelings, passions, strengths, weakness, mannerisms. Everything that makes them them will shape your reader's view on the entire story. Sure, there's some things you can obscure. Actually, in fact, there's plenty of things you should obscure from the reader. I'd probably encourage it. Nobody likes an exposition dump, after all. But finding that fine line to traverse, identifying what needs to be said about your character and what can be left unsaid is the real trick. That's what I've been working on for the past hour or so. It's nice to finally feel productive, to not be watching the clock with eagle eyes. What matters is getting all these thoughts about this guy into my head before I lose track of them. That random bout of inspiration I walked last night gave me more than enough to work with. A working man, dressed in a typical early 50s attire. Fedora, long loose trench coat, suit, tie and nice shoes. The titular PI of the story. Sam Hunt. That's an alias. His real name's been obscured for his own safety. He was revealed on the rare occasion with those he trusts. Such occasions are few and far between for him, though. After all, when you're working against the mafia in a post-World War II Italy, there's very few people you can trust. I might need to workshop the setting a bit more. I know very little about Italy and absolutely nothing about what it was like after World War II. It doesn't seem like that much of a stretch to assume it was a chaotic, turbulent time period where criminal organisations like the mafia could exert control. Definitely something to research more, just to be safe, and I make a few notes to do just that. Anyway, Sam. Sam. It's a bit weird that I imagine Benny as him, but, well, he does look really good in a suit. In our younger years, Benny did have a bit of a melancholic attitude about things, especially his work. He's quite the crusader for proper procedures and the rule of law. Business law, though, not the kind of law Sam would be seeking. Yeah, a wolf is quite fitting for Sam. He's tenacious to a fault, perceptive of his surroundings with that piercing yellow-eyed gaze, can hold his own in a... Oh, that might be a good character trait, actually. Can hold his own in a gunfight, but isn't the best at fisticuffs. He can definitely work with that. Probably want to avoid fighters as much as possible, though. It's harder to get dirt if you're being hounded by the police or on a hit list for the mafia. No, operating from the shadows would work best. Get involved only when absolutely necessary. What exactly is he trying to do? And who is Sam beyond the superficial details? Got his appearance and basic traits down. That's easy, to be honest. It's the meat that I'm missing. That's the usual hang-up for some writers. You either get too far into the nitty-gritty details in the characters and never actually write anything with them. Endless world building, I've heard it called. Or they can't get started on anything except the superficial details. There's also those who make it up as they go all the time. Those writers scare me. I'm firmly in the middle on this spectrum. I've had more than my fair share of making up as I go, but I try to avoid that. Getting a basic character sheet down always helps me out. Right now I'm having very little trouble doing it. Even throw in a little bit of light research on post-war Italy and the mafia. Before long I think I've got a solid foundation built for Sam. Or, at the least, a good starting point. With a satisfied smile I look over what I've written and begin to read it out loud. Gabriel Barone, also known as Sam Hunt, an ex-detective with Italy's National Police Force. He avoided the draft during the war, managed to steer clear of many of the fascist policies. He stayed in his lane, trying to help where he could, while the war raged on and the situation at home deteriorated. With the ousting of the Duce, the end of the war, and a brief Allied forces occupation, Sam became disheartened with the chaos and ineffectiveness of the police force. Crime was on the rise, and while he loathes the fascist ideology, their hard stance on stamping out organised crime is something he supports. Now, within the post-war power vacuum, he's found that many of his colleagues were roped into the resurgent criminal elements. They promise protection and security, and he's a student of history. It's only a matter of time before things get messy. He leaves the police force, found his own private investigation firm, and adopts his alias for the first time. Work is slow at first. He generally takes the odd job of investigating missing persons cases or spying on a cheating husband for his distraught housewife. Eventually he gets his big break, helps expose the protection racket in his hometown. This action has placed him in the sights of many different factions. Some of the police praise him for his work. Some see him as a borderline vigilante. The Don for the Mafia doesn't pay him much attention, but one of the capos do, possibly seeing him as a threat. The story will begin here in media res. Sam's on a high, finding that maybe he can make a difference, when a mysterious third party enters the scene. Damn. That's pretty good. I think it sets the scene well for what could grow into a cautionary tale. An almost neo-noir, or maybe a story that evolves into a familiar noir tale by the end of it. Optimism, free will, and moral transparency give way to the cynicism, fatalism, and moral ambiguity that Sam felt when he left the police force. He's riding high only to be brought down low. It might make for a depressing tale. There could be a glimmer of hope. Something like the righteous fight is only just beginning. Maybe. God, this is kind of sounding like a superhero story. Minus the tight spandex and capes. I need to keep things grounded for sure. I need to watch some old noir films and read some detective novels to get the tone right. I do love a good slide into darkness type story though. Oh, and then there's that mysterious third party I'll need to figure out. And some side characters. Lots to do, but I don't feel ideas slowing down anytime soon. God, I'd missed this feeling. The flood of ideas. The flurry of keystrokes depositing word after word on a screen. Laying the groundwork for a future story. Actually doing something with my time. I love it. The drive to write is back. I'll be damned I let it slip through my fingers again. I've got to get everything down, capture every stray thought. I can organise it all later once I'm back home. Not bringing my laptop was a bit of a mistake, but thank God for smartphones. I keep tapping away, pinpointing more and more details for Sam's character and motivations. Tragic backstory, maybe? Some loss for loved one to spur him on? The loss of a partner, enforcing his desire to work alone? Possible ideas for the setting? It's all written alongside footnote after footnote of research requirements. An unbridled wave of inspiration. I jump, the outside world flooding back in an instant. Cars and scooters passing by the open window. The chatter of pedestrians going about their day. And the droning sound of waves lapping against the shore. And my phone getting another text message. Shaking my head, I look at its notification bar, seeing that the messages are from Benny. Wait, is he not in the room? Quick glance around confirms he isn't, so I open the messages, hoping they'll reveal where he's run off to.
Hey, hun, picked up some gelato for you. Are you coming down soon?
Oh, shit. Fuck. I look at the time on the corner of the phone. Just past noon. Benny went down to the beach 3 hours ago and I said, God damn it. I said I'd be down there in an hour. Nice going, idiot. I can't believe I let time get away from me like that. Well, that's kind of a lie. I would have fallen asleep in my office so often I could keep track of time and pace myself. I sigh and go to type out a response.
New Speedo fits great, by the way.
I bellowed a laugh at that. Leave it to my wolf to send a text like that. The lightheartedness of it all washes away most of my guilt at having stayed in the hotel for so long. Most of it. I should still apologise. I type out a quick message down and I'll be down in a few minutes, then sit up from the bed, setting my phone off to the side. Quick wardrobe change into an old swimsuit and a tank top, and I'm ready to go. I grab my wallet, a room key and my phone. Subtle temptation to reopen the notes app creeps over me at that. No. I need to go spend some time with Benny. I didn't come to Italy to spend all my time writing. Even if I finally have to drive an inspiration to write. My fingers hovering over the app icon now. With a sigh, I shove the phone in my pocket. The ideas will still be there. Hopefully. The hotel was just across the street from the beach, so it doesn't take me long to reach its sandy shores. What takes me a while is finding Benny. We always shared our phone's location with each other, but even with that guidance I'm having a tough time finding him. Big crowds are the bane of my existence. I'm generally taller than most, so I don't have to worry about my antlers knocking anyone out. I do knock over a few umbrellas as I inch my way through the crowd. That earns me more than a few angry stares and colourful sounding expletives, which I can only offer a sheepish smile and an apologetic nod. Thank God I didn't know much Italian. He doesn't help in my mood at all, either. Ugh, this sucks. I glance back down my phone to see if I'm any closer when I feel a pair of paws grab at my waist. I bleat out a yelp, jumping in place as the paws pull me in close to...
Guess who?
Mierda! Stop fucking scaring me, Ben.
No can do, hun. You make it too easy with how focused you get.
I feel Benny's muzzle come to rest on my shoulder, a playful lick tickling my cheek. It calms me down immediately.
You had to walk by me, actually. Only noticed because I picked your centre.
I did? Huh, sorry.
Nothing to apologise for, hun. I'm just happy you finally made it down here. Now come on, don't let gelato melt in a way more than it already has.
Benny released me from his clutches and I turned around to face him. Oh my, it really does look good.
Well, it does, doesn't it?
He mocks a few poses, flexing his arms and chest like he's some sort of bodybuilder. Maybe 10 years ago, but he's put on a few pounds since. It does. I might need to have a closer inspection later. Benny gives another sly chuckle at that before taking my paw in his. It leads me back down to the path I came, my antlers knocking over a few more umbrellas. More sheepish nods and apologies don't do much to lessen the angry glares and shouts. Benny's growling does, however, and I can't help but smile. We eventually make it to the space he cleared for us. A large blanket, a small backpack-sized cooler, and an umbrella sit in the sand waiting for us. I'm actually quite surprised the amount of space he managed to snag. I imagine there may have been more than a few growls if folks got too close. Seeing that we're not nestled up against someone else's group just wonders the anxiousness I've been feeling. And he sits down first, snatching up 2 paper cups filled with gelato, or beckoning me to join him. I do so happily, almost tempted to sit in his lap, but instead sitting close to his side. That won't do for Benny though. He quickly slides into my lap, nestling himself against my bulk. Hola, Benoti.
Hola, Xavier.
I snort a laugh, and so does Benny. Even after being married for so long and knowing each other longer still, his Spanish is still comically bad.
I got you some blueberry gelato.
Ah, thanks. I take the paper cup and pour. It's a vibrant turquoise colour and also quite soupy. Probably because it's so hot out, because I took so long coming down. I sigh. I suddenly try to get a good look at Benny. He's spooning away at his own half-melted gelato. Looks like it might be a cherry-flavoured one, judging by the red colour. Doesn't look like he's too upset about my extended absence. Maybe I shouldn't bring it up. I give another soft sigh before taking a hearty spoonful of the gelato into my mouth. Still quite cool, has a pleasant sweetness to it along with the very prominent blueberry flavouring. This is really good.
Ain't it? There's a thing to beat the heat, I'd say.
I nod in agreement before continuing to enjoy this sweet treat. Benny does the same, though he finishes far quicker than I do, setting his cup off to the side before leaning back into me. We sit in relative silence as I finish up eating, setting my cup inside Benny's. I then wrap my arms around him and settle my chin against the top of his head.
I'm glad you made it down here, Xavier. I was beginning to think you'd spend all day up in that there hotel and waste all this sunshine.
I feel Benny tense under my hold.
Not a mind if you did. Like I said, we ain't quite got any firm plans. I know that you finally got some inspiration in the head of yours. I'm just quite happy to have you down here, is all.
And the guilt is back. God, I really did just waste most of the morning away. We came to Italy to get away from the rigours of work, spend some quality time together, already spent a sizable chunk of that time away from Benny. However, I wouldn't really call it a waste. My fur bristled slightly when Benny said that. It was just an off-poor comment. A basically true off-poor comment. I'm not here to work. I'm here to spend time with my husband. The inspiration will still be there when we get home. Although, maybe we should find some more time to write. Just in case. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, Benny. I lost track of time. It won't happen again.
Like I said, nothing to apologise for. We still got the rest of the day and all day tomorrow to enjoy ourselves. Plus that dinner and concert tomorrow night.
I feel Benny's tail brush against my body. He's very excited for that event, even more than the winery tour later today and the walking tour tomorrow. I'll admit I'm a bit excited for it too, though I lack much of the appreciation for classical music he has. I'd take a night in with a good movie over a night in some dingy opera house any day. But it's an experience to check out off the old bucket list. I can't wait. I plant a kiss on top of his head, listening to a content growl from my wolf. So, gone in the water yet? Not too cold?
Oh, just right, actually. Did a few laps around. Probably going to head back there in a bit if you want to join me. Also been doing a bit of people watching.
I quirk a brow. Really? Or is it more watching the people watching you, Peronto?
Maybe a bit of both.
Benny pushes into me at that, grinding ever so slightly against my groin as my paws wander around his chest and belly.
I got more than a few wandering eyes and plenty of lingering stares. Didn't do much more than that, though. Figured you might not be in the mood for some swinging this trip.
I think for a moment. Despite being married, we do like to have some fun every now and then, especially on the few vacations we take. Well, are you?
Nope. Only bone this dog's got a hangman for right now is that of his majestic elk.
There's a playful growl from Benny and some far less subtle grinding. My paws begin to move lower on their own, just reaching for the bulge in his speedo before I stop myself. Wait a minute, we're in public. Benny eases up.
Says the man who was just about to start giving me a paw job.
I reply in a harsh whisper while trying to hide my smile and kill the laugh building in my throat. Not so loud. I thought not get fined for public indecency.
Relax, Xavier. I've seen more than a few couples fixing to do just that down here. Anyway.
Benny sits up, turning my lap ever so slightly, his yellow eyes setting on mine in an instant.
What were you writing about up there, anyhow? Might have been some good stuff to keep you occupied for close to 4 hours. And keep you up last night.
Right, I did kind of lay in bed writing last night, too. Composing myself, I settled my paws on Benny's belly. Oh, you're going to love it. I'm still running that noir story idea I told you about a few months ago. Well, it's more of a hint than an idea back then. Anyways, yeah, noir story. Picture this. Mafia criminal drama set in Italy meets the hardball detective romps normally set in New York City. Kind of a mix of things, taking the grimy underbelly of a resurgent criminal element and set against the backdrop of an idyllic Italian town.
I quite like a good noir story. Mystery, crime, deep themes. Whereabouts are you setting it?
I'm thinking early 50s.
Ooh, tough time for you to deal with, I'd say. Yeah, better get that research going.
I laugh. That's for sure. It'll be a nice departure from what I'd written before.
From folk horror to noir. Well, there's definitely a shift on.
What? I think I can handle it. I playfully poke at Benny's belly, listening to a sharp laugh from my wolf.
Far from it. Variety is the spice of life, my ma used to say. Besides, remember in college you used to write about anything and everything. Science fiction one day, non-fiction the next.
Definitely earned that bipolar writer moniker. Another laugh shared between us before I continue on. I continue to talk Benny's ear off the next few hours. We pause a few times to go take a dip in the ocean or walk the beach. Every chance I get, I'll go right back to talking about the story. It's really helped me contextualize some details. I even pulled my phone a few times in the middle of talking to take some notes. Benny doesn't seem to mind at all. In fact, he's been extremely attentive throughout my rambling. He's asking questions, making pointed comments, even offering some ideas of his own. I'm not surprised, of course. He's always taken great interest in my writing projects. It's how we'd first met, actually. I, a dorky, unkempt literature major, would frequent the same coffee shop as Benny, the strapping business major. Out of the blue, he struck up a conversation with me, asking the age-old question that many writers loathe to answer in public. What are you writing about? He was so disarming and genuinely interested that I could not answer him. The rest is history, as they say. Encounters at the coffee shop became impromptu dates, then became real dates, and then we started living together. And now we're here, recreating some of our very first interactions on the shores of the Mediterranean. Sorry, I had to write that down too. Some ideas rattling around up here. I put my phone away and clapped my paws together. That's basically what I've got right now. Still lots to figure out. I think I've really got a solid foundation here.
Sure does sound like it, hun.
Benny bumped into my side at that.
I'm happy for you. It's been awfully tough not being able to write anything these past few months.
It happens. Important thing is I got my mojo back. I hope.
Funny thing, that. Looks like it really only took you getting out of that dingy office to find your flow. Where she goes, I reckon. Just, maybe try to relax some still. Those ideas will still be around when you get back.
Again, my fur bristles, and I think Benny notices. I shrug it off with a laugh, however. Yeah, definitely. Don't worry, Venote. I'm still in vacation mode. Benny regards me for a split second before leaning against my side once again, seeming to accept my answer. In truth, I'm fucking terrified. I finally have the inspiration I need to work, yet it could all be snapped away from me in an instant. That dark, all-encompassing maw may have been staved off for now, but I can still feel it. to linger on the edge of my perception, lying in wait for an opportunity to make my life a living hell once again. Each idea that's come from talking with Benny about the story is at risk. I've tried to capture each and every one of them, but I already feel just as many beginning to slip away. Every minute I'm not writing is potentially an idea lost, a key concept forgotten. Fuck. Maybe I'm worrying over nothing, and maybe I should just trust I'll be able to pick up the work when I get home. No way. That's not a risk I'm willing to take. I'm sure Benny won't mind if I sneak in a few more writing sessions during the trip. Sitting underneath the shower head, letting the warm water wash over my fur, offers me a moment of respite to gather my thoughts. Spending most of the afternoon at the beach, we cleaned ourselves off and headed over to a local winery for a tour and a light dinner. There were a bunch of other tourists there as well, so that meant I had to be social. The other couples and groups we spoke with were interesting enough, and the winery itself was fairly captivating. It's too damned hard to focus sometimes, partly because of the crowd and partly because of another sudden burst of inspiration. When I did manage to find some alone time, it's because I needed to get some air. I had reached my limit with the crowd. Benny's always been accommodating to that little quirk of mine. I'm thankful I was able to make use of this brief break to take some notes. I also kept better track of time and made it back inside before Benny came looking for me. Again, I don't think he'd really be bothered I was out there taking notes and photos of a potential setting for the story. He knows how important this is to me. The rest of the night went great. We'd made it back to the hotel, and after staying up another hour or two, Benny dragged me into bed for some more active stress release. Now that I didn't mind. This morning we woke up and headed back to Venice for a walking tour of the city. There's no way in hell I was going to be able to get some writing done there. The last thing I wanted to do was fall into a canal and smell like sewage, or worse, the rest of the trip. Still, it offered me the perfect opportunity to take plenty of pictures for future reference. Whether or not actually set the story in Venice is another factor, but the pictures will be good to have. After the tour, at a light lunch, we headed back to the hotel to get ready for dinner and the concert. Benny suggested we'd shower together, maybe have a little fun too. I decided to take a little power nap. Said power nap quickly became another opportunity to pound out some more notes. It was very productive, though Benny didn't exactly seem thrilled to come out and see me on my phone. He didn't make much of a fuss out of it, and again I don't think he would. I spent most of the day with him. He knows how important this is to me. A little bit of writing won't kill me or him. Now, sitting here underneath a cleansing stream of water, feeling the sting of those canals wash off me, I can confidently look back on my work today with a smile. Sam's been almost fully outlined at this point. There's still some workshopping I could do to better iron out his motivations and drive. I could just as easily start writing some stuff with him today. I've also laid the groundwork for some supporting characters. A private investigator would be lost without a snappy, cantankerous secretary. Soulless sounds like a fitting name, as does her being a shrew. After working a joke about her being a shrewd old woman, for sure. Or maybe not. That would be too on the nose. Ask Benny what he thinks. Anyway, Zola, or Miss Zola as Sam calls her, would have a relatively minor role in the story. A nice comic relief character that berates Sam yet also cares for the grizzled PI. Then there's Gio. Based entirely on the personality of our taxi driver, same name and everything too. Charismatic, chatty and seemingly in the know about everything. Questionably reliable, but usually pulls through when it matters most. The perfect informant for Sam to rely on, for a price of course. I think he could be another old acquaintance of Sam's from his days as a cop, having had more than a few run-ins due to a propensity to get into trouble. He'll be a fun character to write. Not as fun as the villain though. Lorenzo Luca, better known as Big Lug, an imposing, brutish soldier within the mafia trying to make a name for himself. He works under the capo that's taken an interest in Sam Hunt's endeavours, but Big Lug doesn't share the concern. He's far more focused on doing anything to advance his own position. Ambitious, overconfident, not at all the gentleman gangster type that the Don expects from his men. He'll be Sam's next target for investigation, as rumours about a smuggling operation, and even a drug trade, swirl around the brute. It'll be a climatic clash of ideologies. There's just one piece missing now. A driving force for Sam getting more involved with the mafia's operations. Potentially corrupting influence, a character who heralds disaster if Sam isn't careful. The femme fatale. Well, it doesn't actually have to be a woman. The equivalent for a man in that role is homo fatale? No, doesn't sound right. I'll figure it out later. Point is, it doesn't have to be a woman. It'd be quite interesting to explore that dynamic from a queer perspective. That's why one of my previous novels was so well received. Offered a similar flip on the genre norms, expertly introducing a queer-focused narrative, compelling characters for set community. That's what the reviews said, at least. The truth of the matter is, I'm terrible at writing straight romance. It always comes off as way too cliché. Wait, I'm getting sidetracked. Now's not the time to think of all those bad grades I got when I was trying to write romance in school. I've got to come up with this fatale character. It's the only missing piece left. It can serve to be an excellent inciting player in the plot, present some tough choices for Sam to make throughout. I just need an idea. My ears flicker the sound of the bathroom door opening. Yanks me into my musings. Benny's standing in the bathroom doorway, its figure just barely defined against the foggy glass door of the shower.
Xavier, hun, you're almost finished in there. Been quite a long while, and we've got to get going soon. We're going to make the reservation. I also need some help with this here bow tie. Damn thing's impossible to get on.
Yeah? Oh, yeah, sure thing, Venotti. I'll be out in a minute. I see Benny give me a nod and a smile before plodding out of the bathroom. He leaves the door open, probably to ensure I actually come out soon. I sigh. Looks like my shower thoughts are at their limit regarding this fatale character. It looks like I won't have any more time to write tonight. The cavernous pit begins to form my stomach at the thought, spurred on by the realization I'll be flying back home tomorrow afternoon as well. Vacation's come to a close. I'll be back in that dingy office this time tomorrow. Not a comforting thought. I'll return to the scene of my languished, tortured writing process. It's silly to think I might lose all semblance of my ideas when I get home. Damn it, I only wanted to think about it.
You're coming, Xavier.
Benny asked in the main room, his voice raised ever so slightly, just enough to grab my attention of the shower, really. I sigh again. Yeah, I'll be out in a minute, Benny. The flick of my paw, I turn the shower off, and as the paw reaches to the dryer button. Warm air rushes around me, blasting away my fur's dampness in a few seconds if I turn it off. I step out of the shower and head for the main room. Benny's standing in front of a large mirror, fiddling with a troublesome bow tie. He notices my approach and turns to face me.
Mind, helping me out, Xavier?
Despite my lingering annoyance and worry, put on my best smile. It's always a little bit endearing seeing him so flustered. A sure thing. I get to work, my paws finding a jumbled series of knots doing their damnedest to resemble a bow tie.
Dios mio, Benotti, you rated a number here.
How do you still not know how to tie a bow tie?
I barely wear 'em.
I snort, finally managing to undo the knots and get to work with a proper tie. All of my tugging elicits a grumble from Benny.
God, these things are uncomfortable.
This whole thing was your idea, Venotti.
Well, now I'm regretting it. I'll sit for close to 4 hours in this damned monkey suit.
I quirk her brow at Benny's tone while finishing off the knot. It's uncharacteristically annoyed. Satisfied with my handiwork, I step back, just barely catching a scowl on his muzzle before he's back to smiling. Well, I think you look very handsome.
Well, thanks, son. Now you got to hurry up and get ready too, you hear? The restaurant's only got a 5-minute grace period on the reservation, which is coming up in 45 minutes.
Oh shit, really? Why didn't you get me out of the shower earlier?
You always get ready quicker than I do. Chop chop, though.
Benny returns to fiddling with his bow tie and head fur in the mirror. I, in turn, glance around the room, finding my own set of formal wear, which is identical to Benny's, is ready laid out on the bed. My fur brush and some conditioner next to it as well.
Oh, thanks, Benotti.
I hear a quick satisfied from Benny as he continues to adjust his attire. Thankfully, I do live at my speediness in getting ready. My fur is brushed, with Benny's help. My tuxedo's on in about 15 minutes. It's right on time too, so Benny gets a text from our cab driver that they're downstairs waiting for us, giving us about 30 minutes to contend with the evening traffic and get to the restaurant. All that's left is my bow tie to get tied, which I'm handling as fast as possible. Getting a bit close, don't you think? Benny standing just a bit off to the side as I look into the mirror. My paws a controlled flurry of activity, expertly tying the necessary knots and positioning the bow tie against my neckline.
Maybe just a bit. We'll be right as rain, though, Xavier. I don't reckon there'll be much traffic on the weekend.
While his words project an air of confidence, there's a hint of worry, mostly evident by the slight splaying of his ears and the rogue stiff flick of his tail.
Should be all right.
With a firm tug, I finish tying the bow tie and step back. I always look ridiculous in these things. Benny offers a short chuckle for he walks over to one of the nightstands to grab our wallets and phones. I give my tie one final look over before turning around as well, following a bit behind him. It's ready at the nightstand though, both our phones in paw. Mine is still open to the notes app I've been using, as I reach to take her and notice Benny's muzzle is again wrinkled, the expression familiar yet almost inscrutable. Something wrong? It's quick to pass my phone to me. I double check the changes I made before the shower are saved and then shove it in my coat's interior breast pocket.
Mind you fitting some more writing for the shower?
Yeah, just a little bit. Nothing substantial, really. So I'm trying to pin down the latest character. Everyone else has a pretty solid foundation for me to work with. Just this last piece of the puzzle I'm missing. Don't exactly need to have them in it, but the archetype, that being a fatale character, is pretty important to a noir theme, I think. I'm thinking of forgoing the whole femme fatale angle and doing a male equivalent. Can't remember what that's called officially, but...
Xavier, maybe you should leave your phone here.
I blink. Is he... No, I don't think he's saying that. What if we end up separated somewhere, like in a big crowd or something? Doesn't seem safe to just leave it.
Right. It's... Never mind. Come on, we've got to head down to the cab.
Placing his phone and wallet in his jacket, Benny heads towards the door. I don't immediately follow, again wondering what he's going on about. Smoothing down my coat, I follow behind Benny, ready for a relaxing evening, free of any worries.
Oh, Xavier, you've got to try this caprese salad.
Benny's already heaping at the serving of the tomato and cheese appetizer, disregarding the piece I already have on my plate. Not that I mind, of course. It's delicious.
Thanks, Penote.
Benny nudges me slightly at that, hunching back before turning my attention back to the bountiful selection of appetizers we'd chosen. It's a veritable feast. I doubt we're going to eat all of it. It's only the antipasto course, too. We've also got the main dishes to get through, and some dessert. Top it all off, a few of the dishes came complimentary from the restaurant. It's the least they could do considering the issues we'd encountered once we arrived. Our on-time arrival was met with an almost 30-minute wait despite having booked the reservation a few months in advance. There didn't seem to be a singular issue spurring the wait on. Benny was less enthused about it, but as is typical of him, he didn't so much as raise his voice. There were plenty of death glares though, which was surprising. I didn't mind it much myself, even suggested we just go find some street food if we're not any longer. However, Benny was insistent. We did eventually get seated in a rather nice semicircle booth overlooking the restaurant. Apologies were had, complimentary wine offered and taken, alongside the aforementioned appetizers, and everything seemed to be back on track. Yeah, this has got to be the best dish here. Taking another bite of the caprese salad, savouring the rich, complex combination of flavours.
You got that one right, Xavier. Don't think I've ever had tomatoes that tasted this good.
Must be fresh off the vine. It's good to ruin every other tomato for me.
Well, I never ate them much anyhow. Remember your reaction to our first authentic full English breakfast?
I bleed out a sharp laugh just as I go to sip on my wine. Benny laughs as well. Oh, come on, Benotti. You're just as weighted out getting beans as I was with the tomatoes.
Fair, fair. They're quite tasty, though.
Never going to be as good as this.
Here.
Benny lifts a piece of bruschetta and a mock toast. I follow suit with a bemused chuckle. We continue to enjoy the appetizers for a bit, our conversations flitting from topic to topic on a whim. All the while I find my wandering gaze drawn to the different patrons of the restaurant. Part of me does hope one of them might provide a sudden burst of inspiration. It doesn't net any results. It's frustrating. If I found the inspiration I needed for this last character, I couldn't exactly take notes right now. Wine glass in pour, I lean in towards Benny, letting the gentle thrum of the restaurant and his idle talk about ideas for another vacation ease my building anxiety.
Ah, shoot.
I look at Benny, his ears splayed back and brow furrowed as he stares at his watch. Something wrong?
Oh, I need to get a move on. The concert starts in an hour. We've got a 15-minute walk over there.
There's a rumbling growl from Benny. It's accompanied by raised hackles and sharpening pupils that dart around the restaurant, reasonably searching for our waiter. As if sensing Benny's imminent ire, or possibly feeling a burn in the back of his skull, our waiter is quick to appear. How are you finding the appetite?
Oh, great. Quite fine. Could we please order our entrees? We've got a schedule to try and keep here.
Of course, Signore. Again, we are terribly sorry about the delays you had tonight, so I'll ensure you get your food as soon as possible. That seems to placate my wolf's ire for now. I can still feel the agitation wafting off him in waves as he places his order. I place my order as well, and fill in our wine glasses. The waiter is quick to depart. What's that about, Benny?
Oh, nothing. I'm just anxious, all. You know me and my schedules.
I'm starting to think something might be bothering Benny. Before I can be more direct in my question, the ringing of my phone draws my attention. I've out of my coat jacket, which is resting on the plush booth seat to my left, and glance at the screen. Yeah. Lucilla's calling?
What's she want?
Only one way to find out.
Or you could just not answer.
You know she rarely calls me out of the blue, Benny. I begin to shimmy out of the booth, taking care not to disturb the table too much. The furrowed brow and wrinkled muzzle from a half-formed sentence informs me that Benny might want to object. I give him a quick, soft smile. I'll be back in a flash, Minotti. That seemed to placate Benny, just a bit. I took an odd feeling of tenseness from him. Maybe I can just chalk it up to the whole debacle around getting seated. It did almost derail the evening. Oh, right, my phone. I press a finger of the accept call button and hold it up to my ears, making my way out of the restaurant as carefully as possible. Remember, it's probably nothing to worry about. Yes, I'm sure. Please just try to relax, okay? Derek's a smart kid. He'll be fine. Happy to do so if he wants. Okay, love you too. Yep, bye-bye. Thank God, a dial tone. I glanced down at my phone. That'd be the longest 15-minute phone call of my life. I love my sister to death, but good Lord does she get worked up by the weirdest things sometimes. Why call me about a kid? A 21-year-old kid failing some writing assignment for college? I mean, I'm always happy to help my nephew. If he wants me to tutor him, he should ask me, not have his mum do it. I started to laugh and lean against the street lamp. I'll still send the kid a text offering to proofread his future assignments. It's the least I can do for my nephew. A flurry of fingers and haptic feedback signals the text being sent, and I pocket my phone. Right, I should probably head back inside. I do chance a quick glance around the narrow medieval street. I wouldn't find some glimmer of inspiration within the dark alleyways and dynamic shadows. Yet none comes. Not like our first night here, not like at the winery. A pit forms in my stomach. Feels like I might throw up for just a split second before I steady myself. I would lose all this motivation and drive out to the blue. I can't. I won't. Take a sharp breath in and then breathe out. It doesn't do much. Hiole. I draw my paws down against my face, letting out an audible groan, then head back inside. Sorry, Benuti. That took way longer than I thought it would. Though you know how Lucilla can get sometimes. I slid back into the booth. Notice our entrees have been brought out. Doesn't even look like Benny's touched his meal yet. He's twirling the pasta dish, squidding something or other, round on his fall-free lock's eyes with me.
You certainly took your time with it. Food's gone cold.
That uncharacteristically annoyed tone is back. It's much sharper now. Well, you could have started without me. There's a pause. His snout wrinkles, lips parting to speak, but nothing comes out. Instead, he starts to eat, and I do the same. The food's not cold, thankfully, but it is lukewarm. I guess our waiter hadn't been lying when he said he'd get the food out quickly.
You were not there working, were you?
I lurched forward slightly, some bits of pasta catching in the back of my throat before I managed to swallow. Eh, Benny? You know Lucilla called me.
What'd she call about?
Something about Derek doing poorly in his writing classes and wanting some tutoring, being too scared to call me and ask. Then some tangents about other stuff. It kind of blurred together. You know how she gets. Benny snorts at that. It's not an amused snort, though. Okay, what's wrong? I set my fork down and shift in the booth, facing him as directly as I can manage. You couldn't have just not answered and sent her a text saying you're busy? It was an expensive dinner we barely got to enjoy together, Xavier. Not to mention you sat down to work more than once today. It's on last night before we head home. The least I could do is be attentive. That's unfair, Benny. It's not my fault these people had some seating issues. What the hell was going on? Besides, I only sat down to write like twice today. I was attentive this whole morning. Well, you still spent quite a few hours off in your own little world. My fur bristles. Is that what this is about? Me finally being able to write again? Excuse me not being able to control when I get an idea. You can certainly control when you act on it. Said the wolf hasn't had a free weekend since its vacation. Pot me kettle then, I reckon. The sound ceramic against tiles shatters any retort I could muster. Also looks like it shattered whatever this argument had been built into. Seriously, what the fuck was that? It's been... I don't even remember the last time we've had a verbal spat like that, actually. Seemingly out of the blue, all centered on my writing? Or was it just annoyance at the issues with the dinner? I shift again in the booth, going back to my meal while side-eyeing Benny every now and then. He looks deflated as he picks up what remains of his meal. It's a sentiment I share. A dark cloud has settled over our dinner, borne on the wind or wherever that spat had been. And he's made no mention of being annoyed at my writing before now. Though in hindsight I do recall more than a few rogue glances and stray huffs, especially after his shower today. And during the past 2 evenings when I stayed up late. Shit. Maybe he is upset about that. I mean, he must know how important it is for me. Well, later down to have my mojo back. Hell, I told him as much on the beach. My fur bristles again, snout curled into a dejected snarl. I quickly settle down as the waiter comes back with our check. Benny must have called for it while I was ruminating. This awkward silence we found ourselves in continues for a moment longer as Benny pays for the meal. Once the check is signed, his wallet pocketed, I found my voice. Benny, we should...
Nothing to apologise for, Xavier.
The usual jovialness when Benny would say that is gone. Instead, it's hollow.
Let's just try to enjoy the rest of the night here. I was just stressed out is all. The dinner ain't exactly gone to plan.
There's an attempt at laughter. A poor mask whatever is distracting he's doing. We then make our way to the booth, throwing our jackets on. There's still some lingering concern. And by some I mean a lot. Maybe a fuck ton of concern. Maybe Benny's right. Now might not be the best time to get into it. The sweet serenade of Italian opera might do our mood some good. It might loosen our tongues enough to talk about our problems. Who knows? Might even give me some inspiration. No more writing tonight, though. Don't want to upset Benny more than I already have. I don't think this concert is going to salvage our mood. Not mine, at least. It's great music, very pleasing to the ears and expertly orchestrated, but, well... Let's just say I don't think this concert hall had antlers in mind when it was built. We've done our best to select a pair of seats to be unobtrusive, while also not sticking us in the nosebleeds, and yet, sure enough, I'm still obstructing the view of at least 4 people behind me. I'd asked them if it would be a problem before the show started, and they assured me it wouldn't. But I can't shake the feeling of their eyes drilling into the back of my skull. Silent, judgmental stares. Something I should be used to. Something Benny says I shouldn't be bothered by. I mean, fuck, I'm an adult. I've had to live with these damned things for almost 4 decades. It's also more than a few other antler-bearing folks in the theatre, too. And yet, I'm still bothered by the idea that I might be bothering other people with them. It's hard to not feel like I am when we have to jump through so many hoops because of them. Ugh. Just don't dwell on it. Focus on the music instead. It's really hard to focus on the music when we've got this argument hanging over us, though. I wonder if Benny feels the same way. We've barely spoken more than a few words to each other since we left the restaurant. We've looked at each other even less. Looking his way reveals no new information as to his mood. As stoic as ever. Maybe we should hash things out during the intermission. God, this crowd sucks too. Benny's broad shoulders are causing me to venture even further into the personal space of this sweet old feline lady on my left. A few whispered apologies I'd offered at the start of the show now feel like half-hearted, disingenuous epitaphs. I chance a glance behind me. Maybe my mind's playing tricks on me, but I swear I see the angry eyes of some portly bear flip back to the singer on stage. Please, just stop staring. It's not going to make me magically shed my antlers. This is the last song for the intermission, right? I reach down to my side of the playbill. With that movement, I swear I feel Benny's eyes on me. The feeling disappears just as quickly as it came as I pull the playbill out and review the programme, finding that this is indeed the last song before the intermission. Probably thought I was reaching for my phone. Wait, so what if I was? Surely he knows I wouldn't be that much of an insensitive ass to just start right in the middle of a concert. Letting our spattered dinner fester like this was such a dumb idea. Okay, the crescendo. Good. I really need to get some air during this intermission. There's just way too much going on right now. There's a dull throbbing in my head that just won't go away. I can't focus on what I want. I can only focus on what I don't. The stairs, the argument, my writing, my ideas slipping away. Falling back in an endless loop of writer's block, stuck staring at that horrid blank canvas in that dingy office. I pause, gripping at the armrest with each pounding thought. Am I having a panic attack? Wait, would I even know if I'm having one? I never had one before. At least I think I haven't. Am I just overstimulated? That's happened more than once. It's that. Gotta be. I need to get out of here. I don't waste any time getting out of my seat as the applause starts. Benny notices, or at least I think he does, as I shuffle out of the row and into the aisle. Might have been called after me, but I can't hear anything over the cheers. Make it up the stairs or aisle, coming right up to the now open doors, where I feel a firm paw on my shoulder. It stops me in my tracks and I turn to face its owner. Naturally, it's Benny. Xavier, hey, you're okay? Crowd going to be too much for you? He has to shout over the applause and shuffling as others begin to vacate their seats. Of course he's asking if I'm okay. Always so considerate, even when we've had a fight. I'm fine. Not really. I was going to go get some air. I need to talk about what happened at dinner. Go clear my head. Benny knows that what I said isn't what I think. He's always had a good beat on me. And it just makes my fur bristle more. He's always had a good beat on me. That's why he's always so patient with my insecurities about my antlers and more scatterbrained habits. That's why was he such an asshole about my writing? I groan. At first I think it's inaudible. The shift in Benny's demeanour is evidence to the contrary. I need some air. My affirmation prompts a loosening of Benny's paw, but his piercing gaze remains. You want me to come with you? Part of me wants to say, yes, of course. We've got to talk things over after all. But as people shuffle past us, crowding us in his narrow entryway, I really don't feel like being around anyone right now. No. Shit. He probably thinks I'm too mad to even be around him. I mean, I am mad, but not that mad. Sorry, I just want to clear my head is all. It was getting a bit overwhelming in there. Those seats weren't exactly comfortable, you know. My half-hearted attempt at humour seemed to land as I see Benny's snout wrinkle in a snort. It's not the same boisterous, attention-drawing laugh I'm used to, though. All right, well. I'll snag us some coffee. Gotta stay awake for the rest of the show, don't we? With Benny's smile, I find my own comes easy. Yeah, sure. Thanks, Benotti. Benny's tail wags gently at that and makes me think for just a moment that all's well. In fact, it might very well be. That spat at dinner was just that, a spat. Nothing we should dwell on. We should still talk, but it can wait a bit longer. The warm night air is a welcome respite from the stuffy concert hall. It immediately clears that dull throbbing from my head. The smell, both that of the nearby canals and the plum of cigarette smoke from the smoking air I'd wandered into, is less welcome. I shuffle past these patrons enjoying their vices, find some respite more towards the front of the grand old building. The plaza it occupies is quiet. Only a few people walk its stone streets. Some together, some separate, all heading off to unknown destinations. With a sigh of relief, I find purchase against a lamppost. I've got about 15 minutes before I need to head back in. The intermission is only 20 minutes long, and that coffee Benny mentioned sounds heavenly right now. A yawn escapes my lips. Yeah, I could really use some. Glancing around the plaza again, I don't find any more wayward souls like myself. Just me and my thoughts, which isn't exactly an ideal combination. All those fears and anxieties are still rolling around my mind, but at least out here, in the wide open space, I can better ignore them. A rough night? I jump up from the lamppost, ears poked up and eyes flitting over the source of this sudden voice. Leaning against the side of a nearby building is a sharply dressed fox. Sharply might be an understatement, actually. Underneath the soft, warm glow of the lamppost, their clothing is immaculate. The most striking piece, a vibrant green vest that shimmers in the light, playing against their distinctive red and white fur. Such an intriguing sight is immediately enough to calm my nerves, though I can still feel my startled heart pounding in my ears. Sorry about the scare, Signore. A sly smirk spreads on his lips, his voice rolling past him with a light Italian accent. No, sorry, you're fine. I just didn't see you there. And yeah, I guess you could say that. That sly smirk relaxes into a soft smile as the fox sits up from his perch against the wall. He saunters over my way, still keeping a good distance between us. Here for the show, then? Yeah, just catching some air before the intermission ends. Well, these things can be pretty boring. Reaching into a vest pocket, the fox pulls out a carton of cigarettes. He taps it once, then twice against his paw and pulls one out. Got a light? Even though I don't, I still pat my pockets down before shrugging apologetically. No, sorry, I don't smoke. He lets out a high-pitched yet reserved laugh, twirling the cigarette between his fingers. Neither do I, Signore. That sly smile returns. There's some others just round the corner who might have one. Good to know. He begins to head off in the direction I pointed out, but not before stopping just a ways past me. My eyes meet his brilliant green ones, and he offers a courteous nod. And that's still young, caro mio. Chin up. And at that, he's gone. My eyes linger on him, and his stride I notice a confident swagger I've never seen before. It's audacious and bold, his bushy tail swinging side to side as he walks. It's hypnotic, too, though its hold over me breaks as he rounds the corner out of sight. It only takes a few seconds of my pause to pull my phone out, and less than that for my fingers become a flurry of activity. I'm not sure what about the interaction set my brain off, what exactly inspired me. Maybe it's the suddenness of it. Maybe it's the vibrant, enticing personality of that fox. Maybe just how surreal it all felt. In the end, it doesn't really matter. That short interaction gave me the inspiration I needed for my final character. I'd seen somewhere during our vacation that the Italian word for red is Rossi. While it might be cliché, I can't think of a more fitting name for my fox fatale. Yep, still makes me laugh. Anyway, Rossi will fit the role perfectly. Can't get the fox's clothing out of my mind either, so for now that's what Rossi will wear. Can always change it later on. Beyond Rossi's clothing, I should consider making them non-binary, or at the least not using masculine pronouns. It may come off as a bit heavy-handed for the time period of the story. The idea is quite alluring for building a sense of mystery around the character. A sense of mystery that enraptures Sam as Rossi joined him on his mission. The concrete idea for what that mission will be also came with my inspiration for Rossi. Had the idea of Big Lug been investigated by Sam for involvement in a legal goods smuggling ring, including narcotics, something the Mafia Don might not endorse, blacked a way for Sam to get involved. Rossi is the perfect avenue for that involvement. They can provide the insight and action, the push for Sam to begin to tangle himself up more and more in this web of crime. They'll be the intermediary for an unknown to Sam third party, a mysterious benefactor that seems to have as much interest in stopping Big Lug's activities as Sam doesn't want to do so through the normal channels of law enforcement. Said benefactor isn't someone I've actually workshopped yet. There's some ideas for them as well. It could be the Mafia Don himself, though I'd imagine he might have a lot of the police force in his pocket and just work through them. There'd also be another capo within the Mafia, a rival to the one Big Lug works for. Also within the Mafia system, they could be working to better things the organisation, make it more respectable in the post-war power vacuum. They'd still be mafia. I imagine if Sam ever found out he'd be angry, to say the least. It provided an excellent dramatic moment for the two if Sam find out Rossi's involved in the mafia, if he's just been a pawn in some power scheme. Though I probably wouldn't cover that in the first book. Oh god, I'm already thinking about ideas for a sequel. I need to reel it back in. Rossi's motivations and purpose aside, I'm picturing them as a very catty, playful character, but not in a childish way. If I were to compare him to another character, like that jackal from that old sci-fi show Benny likes. He always had quite the catty, playful attitude. He was also very competent and capable, if a bit overconfident. It's an excellent foil to Sam's own reserved nature. I think they'll play off each other well. Just got to finalise some backstory details and... Fuck. I think my phone just died. I can see my visage reflected in its blank black screen. Desperate press on its side buttons yields no response. Yep, it's dead. I groan loudly at that. It's not a big deal. My notes app is very live when it comes to autosaving. Probably didn't lose too much. Wait, what time is it? How long have I been out here? Can't have been more than 10, maybe 15 minutes? Yeah, no, everything's fine. Don't think I'll be locked out. Still plenty of time to head inside and enjoy that cup of coffee. Maybe there's some time to talk about what happened at dinner too. That would be able to enjoy the evening to its fullest and push aside that lingering argument. Not spend any more time outside. Head around the corner of the opera house expecting to find a lingering cloud of smokers in a final few puffs in before the show starts. Only, around the corner I don't see anyone. This large alleyway is empty, devoid of any person, any sound, save the soft buzzing of a lone street lamp above the side door. I feel a pit form in my stomach as I move to the door. Please don't be locked, please don't be locked, please don't be. I pull on the handle but can't wrench it free. It's locked. No. A few more tries and it's the same result. I rap my knuckles against its cold metal, but they elicit no response. Only a cold, pervading silence. ¿Estás jodiendo conmigo? Verga. Fuck. I kick the door, my hoof not budging in the slightest. Again, there's no signs of a response. I'm not being let back in. Wait, I can just call Benny. Maybe he can come let me... The black screen of my dead phone greets me like a silent mocking laugh. This has to be some sick fucking joke. First in my writing career to actually make use of my smartphone for something smart instead of treating it like a fancy flip phone. It dies on me. Fuck. Did I even make sure I had a full charge when I left? Whatever, it doesn't matter now. Got a dead phone and no way to get back inside. I pocket my phone inside to head around to the front entrance. That might give me a better chance of being seen. Reaching in a desperate jog, I try the ornate glass and metal doors. They're locked too, but I continue to rap my knuckles against them. I probably look insane right now as I peer inside for any sign of help. Surely if someone just sees me, they'll let me in. I'm much too well dressed to be some drifter trying to sneak in. Hello, anyone? Much to my dismay, nobody comes. The muted sounds of a new solo taunting me through the glass doors. I want to punch this artificial barrier, tear it down with a few kicks and force my way back inside. I don't do that though, realising I'd sooner break my paw or leg before the door relents to my fury. Okay, I'm not getting inside, that much is clear. Think, Xavier, think. Am I supposed to get back to Benny now? Despite trying to stay focused, my brain drifts towards the irony of me wondering what I'd do without my phone if Benny and I got separated. Back when he wanted me to leave it behind. I keep pacing around the front entrance, trying to think of some way, any way to get back in. All the while I'm starting to fret over the autosave having failed. I'm going to be locked out for the remainder of the show, at least I'll have something to show for it. The pacing carries me a little bit away from the front entrance. My attention is immediately pulled back to it when the roar of elite vocals and piano greets my ears and... Xavier! I whirl around, relieved to see Benny, only to realise he's angry. He spots me in an instant, and for a moment his rage falters. It's only a moment though, as he returns in an instant, storming towards me like an unbridled hurricane. You've gotta be fucking kidding me, Xavier! Despite the situation, I can't but notice he doesn't have our coffees in hand. There'll be some good reason I hope we're missing our dinner and the damn concert. He only gestures so much when he's really worked up. When I joked about playing hooky, I assumed we were doing it together, not just standing me up on all our expensive plans. I feel my blood boil something fiercer than Dante could have ever imagined. I don't command the fucking doors, Benny. I was locked out. So why didn't you call me? His accent is really slipping out now. I feel my heart sink into my stomach. My phone's dead. I hear the most incredulous, breathless laugh. If I wasn't so angry, I'd think I'd nominate him for an Oscar for this ridiculous performance he's put on.
What a fucking surprise. Spent months planning this trip, making arrangements, rescheduling, trying whatever to make things work, and it comes to my flighty husband of all folks to jumble them.
I scoff and look away. My English was near perfect for someone who's raised without it in the first few years. Even after college I was regarded as someone who spoke the language better than the vast majority of native speakers. But sometimes in moments like these, like I have to start translating everything in my head again. You're being obtuse.
Obtuse? Which one of us is the kettle here, Xavier?
Probably me, since I'm bigger.
Really fucking hilarious. You might consider becoming a comedian if you're looking for work so bad.
Alright, no more niceties. You're so unbelievably up your own ass that I've guessed you haven't been laid in a while. You turned my sister called me to some big ordeal, you flip your lid embarrassed in front of the locals, made us look the part of a pair of gringos, and now this?
Maybe if I didn't have to track you down like some prize hunt when you should have been inside by now, it'd be a bit more reasonable. Instead, plans I worked on for us,
Worked on for you? I never signed up for the crowded beach, or overpriced Italian cuisine, or fucking opera. Really? What point did you assume I'd been enthralled by all these things you planned, with barely any of my input? I see his hackles raise again as he paces from side to side in front of me. I can't help but curl and straighten my fingers at my side, like some kind of cowboy ready to quick draw.
Maybe I could have rubbed you down for your own damn planet. You might have could have given some suggestions then. Like you as you can manage it, you ain't fucking writing.
I feel my fists clench.
Was it so hard to just not jot a few notes for you forget? Instead of stand me up on our vacation? Just save it till we got back.
My teeth grind in my mouth.
Fuck, I waited half a year to get a break from work, and the one time I escape it, you're suddenly feeling inspired? So inspired to leave me hanging? I really wanted this time with you. You! We could have been anywhere else and I'd have loved it.
He growls and I feel myself staring boldly at him still anyway.
Instead, you're wasting my time in this shit over a smelly tourist trap, like vacation in shambles, and for your fucking what? To feel your ego? I just want to not feel useless, okay?
I'm shouting now. Feels less like this thing in the present and more like I've let every frustrated moment of the past year channel through my throat, strain my larynx and push out my snout. Even Benny seems caught off guard by the outburst, and honestly, so am I. I'm so fucking fed up with this. I frantically gesture. They can't do what words can accomplish. The thoughts are there. I feel them. They elude me in the worst way. They make me feel so goddamn... I feel my fists close their own volition. I shut my eyes. I slam them down in the air in unison. At this point, I'm seething with anger, and for whatever reason, I start rambling. Like I've hit my peak already, and nothing I do will ever be better than I've already written. You could never fucking understand. You couldn't. I laugh, and it probably borders on sounding hysterical. Getting a promotion, the chance to move us to London, the fucking beautiful high-rise we afford on your income alone. What a wonderful life you get to live, and I'm here ruining it. I pause for a second. I'm surprised when Benny doesn't speak up. I choke as I start to lose steam. I'm so tired, Ben. The words are mangling themselves as they come out. My whole posture slacks and hunches. Tired of feeling like being some kind of burden. Of needing to ask you for money, do anything, to needing you to support me. Being able to at least be productive while you're gone. It's all the chance to finally just contribute. To make things better. And I don't want to lose it. I look down the ground, and the fur around my eyes feels cold and clumpy. I guess I'm only capable of making things worse. I make a loud sniffle as I attempt to pry my gaze back up, to face Benny, only to realise he's looking away from me.
I make you feel useless.
His voice is barely audible, even the muffled belting of the performers inside almost masking his quiet, grumbly words. It only makes me feel worse. Benny. I see him look up, move over a bit quickly, and nearly knock me over when he gives me a tight hug with his large arms.
God, I'm so sorry.
The words come muffled through my clothes, and he pulls out of my neck to speak a little easier, his head coming to rest on my shoulder.
It was wanted to be this time for us, and I made it about me, didn't I?
Yeah, that sounds more like Benny. Bit of a martyr, but he knows when he's done something wrong. I huff, thinking something else is in order. He hasn't been the only bonehead. It's not all your fault.
Well, might as well be. I mean, fuck, we could have simply cuddled on the bed while you wrote. Probably wouldn't have bothered me as much.
He pauses, then grumbles again, having regained most of his composure.
I'm still upset you didn't just say more.
At that, I do my best to return the hug. It's hard with his arms pinning mine to my side, but I manage all the same. I went along with it all because you were so excited. I just want to do right by you every day. We both have headstones, side by side, and matching, of course.
Visa's all right.
I let a hearty laugh, not expecting Benny to crack a joke right now. Hundreds of rhinestones each. Now it's his turn to laugh. But I'm sorry too, you know. I was being a little obtuse too.
Well, that's why we belong together. We put the two in obtuse.
That's probably the worst wordplay I've heard in my life. It makes me belly laugh and sway side to side while holding Benny. I even catch his tail wagging eagerly behind him. The wolf does turn to look back at the closed doors with a somewhat remorseful gaze, then turns it on to me. I'm so sorry about getting us locked out.
Oh, can't let my majestic elk. We've still got stuff to talk about.
Benny's right. Even what just happened was a verbal spar. Things got pretty mean. There's heaps of lingering issues we need to talk about.
But I think it might be best to sort it out when we're back home.
I blink. That's the same night I'm thinking I got us here in the first place.
True, but trust me on this one, Xavier. We've said what we need to say. We've said our apologies. Well, I think we should let things cool off a bit here before we hash it all out.
I think for a moment, and Benny's right. Things feel better understood now. That dark miasma had been hanging over us since the dinner seems to have been blown away from all the shouting. Yeah, okay. I trust you, Pinote. The brushing of fur against fabrics and the unmistakable sound as I spy Benny's tail giving a few enthusiastic wags. He wraps his arm around my side before we both start to walk, and out in the still young night together.
Cool winter air. A normally comforting embrace does nothing for me tonight. It's an irritant. Each inhale stings like hell, and each exhale of my foggy breath brings to mind what I fucked up. Physically, I'm decent. A black eye, plenty of bruises, and a clean gunshot wound. Nothing a few good days of bed rest and more than a few bottles of whiskey won't fix. No surgery needed of the busted up shoulder either. Paramedics said the bullet went in one end and out the other. They said I should feel lucky. A few more centimetres up and it could have very well shattered your joint. Oh, maybe they're right. Maybe I should feel lucky. I inhale and exhale again, muttering the silent curse to the wind, or putting the cigarette I hold up to my fingers up to my lips. The sharp, long draw of tobacco burns like hell too, or at least it calms my nerves. Only for a moment though, so when I blow the smoke out through clenched teeth, I'm reminded of what I've lost. I'm a damn fool.
Self-degradation doesn't suit you, Calamia.
I've grown so used to Rossi's penchant for sneaking up on me, now I barely give them a response for turning my head to the left to look at them. They regard me silently for a moment, their green eyes darting up and down my form before settling on my face. I do the same, noticing they barely have a scratch on them, despite all we've been through. The knuckles are a bit bloodied from the punches thrown, claws chipped from damage wrought, and there's some flecks of blood staining their green vest. But everything else is as immaculate as ever. Looks like I got the short end of the stick. What do you want, Rossi? I look back out of the railing at that. In my peripheral vision I can see a sly smile spread on their muzzle. Just checking in, making sure you're holding up. Their smile falters for a moment. You took quite the beating from Luca towards the end there. I'm a statement of the decade. The only consolation is he's in much worse shape than I am. Pretty sure I broke his femur. Let's hope the bastard never walks right again. I'm fine.
Grunting, I shift on the railing so I can face Rossi fully. Her sly smile returns immediately. No doubt it masks some other inscrutable emotion. That all you wanted? To see that your lapdog isn't hurt? Rossi laughs at that, though it's reserved and nowhere near as carefree as before. Please, Hunt, you'd know if you were a lapdog to me. So then what am I to you? A pause settles over as Rossi leans against the railing. They're back to the canal's calm waters. In this pause, they reach into a vest pocket and pull out their cigarette case, flipping it open to find it empty. A friend? They ask this while giving the empty case a shake. Their eyes are light with a silent plea. Given at all we've been through this past week, despite how much I want to be mad at Rossi, they're still able to disarm me without a word. This hold they have over me was once maddening, but now, I suppose I've accepted it. With a reluctant sigh, I place my own lit cigarette between my lips, then reach into my coat pocket. Thankfully, the carton I have isn't empty. If we're your friend, you tell me who your employer is. Rossi smirks at that, plucking a cigarette from the carton. It's lit in one swift motion, they take a long drag. How about partners? I don't even respond to that. Rossi laughs. So picky with the labels, Hunt. You're one to talk. Another laugh from Rossi as I finish off my cigarette, flicking the depleted butt into the water below. Things go as planned? I see Rossi's expression darken at that. They flip around on the railing, joining me in leaning over it. More or less, I need to talk things over with my employer, make sure there isn't any loose ends to tie up. I don't like the use of that phrase, loose ends. Within the criminal element, it has quite a negative connotation, and perhaps from it I can glean an insight into just who Rossi works for. My running theory isn't exactly a comforting thought, but hopefully it stays a theory. Rossi seems to have sensed my contemplation as they're quick to speak up again. One thing's for certain, though. Lorenzo Big like Luca is getting put behind bars along those involved with their little smuggling operation. The evidence you got out of that warehouse where it burned down is going to be enough to bring some harsh convictions down from up top. Up top. Another interesting choice of words. Well, I could be of service then. I'm not sure if I intended or not. There's an extra dose of venom in those words. The stains practically dripping from my lips as they leave my throat. Surprising. Rossi picks up on it immediately. Why so glum, Hunt? You did what you set out to do. Lorenzo's smuggling operations are in shambles. He and his underlings are going to be locked up. The streets are clean. For now. I grunt that out, sinking further into the railing, my eyes drawn down to the calm waters. The discarded cigarette butt sits there, floating on the surface. Every now and then its bobbing causes some ripples in the water, but they're minuscule. They do little to disturb the wider whole. It's a fitting sight, perfectly encapsulating how I feel now. I might have got him off the streets, and he might get a firm sentence. He was just an underling himself. Those above me are going to scurry back into the dark and swoop in when the time is right. Or worst, I remain out in the open, flaunting themselves with veiled disassociations and fake smiles. I clench my jaw for a moment. Can't hold it for long. I'm tired. Given this assignment, I'd felt optimistic, hopeful that I'd continue to make a difference. Our community deserves as much after the war. We're all fed up with the fighting and simply want to live in peace. But seeing the corruption, the rot that continues to set in, the apathy taking root, can't help but wonder if it's all for naught. What's the point if those truly responsible remain untouchable? Slumping further against the railing, it's then I feel a soft touch on my arm. Rossi's move closer. Their firm yet delicate, poor, understanding expression is called confidence winter chill. Yet it's a comfort nonetheless. It's strange, really. I barely know anything about this mysterious fox. They fly into my life with an assignment, one seemingly aligning itself with my own goals. They work with me to see it through, yet also seem to work against it. They're a conundrum. A clearly dangerous yet capable person, filled with ulterior motives and contradictions that I'm not even sure they know what they are. That much is clear as I look into their eyes right now. Thoughts dance behind them, seeming to form unspoken sentences as their lips remain shut. They do eventually speak, only after what feels like an eternity of us just staring at each other. We took a small step today. There's plenty more ahead, but we'll get there.
Get where?
At that, their understanding turns yet into a sly smile as they sit up from the railing. One final draw on the cigarette sends it plummeting to the pavement. Their paw lingers on my arm as they walk past, stopping for just a moment. See you around, caro mio. And then they're gone. Their tail swishes behind them as they walk away, a familiar convent swagger punctuating each step. Part of me wants to follow after them, to glean more insight into what exactly they meant. I'm not sure actually, but the pull is there. Instead, I look back out to the canals with moonlight cresting over the artificial horizon of the city's architecture. Everything feels like it's gotten harder, like I'm way over my head with this moral crusade. I'm not even sure I can accomplish anything truly meaningful now. That far-fetched ending of bringing some semblance of peace to my fractured community, to myself, now seems more and more unlikely. These wounds bear a stark reminder that all this may end with me in the ground. But if Rossi meant what I think they meant, then maybe they're right. A small step, with plenty more ahead. A soft smile spread on my lips. Perhaps there's a glimmer of hope after all. All for you, John. All for you. Out of the corner of my eye, I see Benny move the laptop from his lap to the coffee table. I've been waiting with bated breath for him to finish reading the final chapter. It's been a good hour since he started, much longer than I anticipated. He's yet to utter a single word, or much of any sound for that matter. There had been a few snorts of laughter though, his snout ringed in amusement of surprise every now and then. I'd always trying to crown him when he's reviewing my work. A few lingering stares he reads are almost impossible to avoid. He's never told me to stop either. In fact, I think he gets a lot of amusement out of me watching him read. Now that he's done, all bets are off. I shift on the couch, turning to face him fully. So, what do you think? I dare not ask anymore. There's plenty more specific questions that come to mind, stuff like, how was the climax? Did it feel too rushed? Was it too slowly paced? Did I ever get any new plot threads that hadn't been explained? Then there's a plethora of errors and improvements I already know I want to make. I want to ask Benny if he thinks the same. He's no creative writer. There's a keen eye for detail. It's always a good sounding board for my work. The question lingers in the air as Benny leans further back into the couch, contemplative crease in his brow.
Well, I think I've got something really special here, Xavier.
My ears perk as a grin spreads across my muzzle. So you like it?
Well, I love it. It's heartfelt, gripping, engaging and earnest, all telling a fun detective story romping an interesting period of time. This wind down he got in the final chapter is a perfect capstone to the story. Sam's at a new low point in his life. Not sure if he can continue trying to get justice for his murdered lover. Yet in comes Rossi with some parting words of wisdom. She's, sorry, there, just as aloof as ever. Yours the most genuine their assurance to Sam at the end. Well, I'm practically hounding for Sam to chase after Rossi myself. Those action scenes in the previous chapter are still knocking me on my ass. I still can't believe you can write like that, hun. You better have a sequel story plan, 'cause Lord above, do I need more— Oof!
I cut Benny off by wrapping him up in a hug, pressing my head into his chest and ruffling his shirt around. Thank God I shed my antlers earlier this year. He's quick to return the hug, setting his chin against the top of my head while wrapping his arms around me. You're not just saying that to be nice, right?
Oh, come off it. You really got to ask me every time you show me something?
Yes, I do. We both had a laugh, embracing for a moment longer before I pull away. Glad you like it. Still just the first draft, though. There's a few kinks I need to iron out, some dialogue I'd like to expand on.
Oh, and some grammar you need to correct. Damn near started doing it myself.
Oh, shut up. It's not that bad. Benny chuckles as I bat him on his snout.
Just yanking that there chain of yours is all. Did highlight a few spots to double check, just in case you miss them.
Well, thanks, Sonny.
I think it's close to being ready to send off your editor.
Oh god, no. No way, I need at least, several more passes myself. I'd even consider letting Jane get her mitts on it.
Well, be sure to let me know when you do so we can go celebrate.
No operas or beaches, right?
No. Unless you want to.
Admittedly, it was a bit of a cheap joke. We talked everything over since that vacation. In hindsight, it was a very silly but necessary argument to have. We've both been stressing ourselves about work far too much. And get to the point where it seeps into our personal lives, letting it fester like a cancerous growth was a dumb move. We've moved past it though, and come to a better understanding, I think. Benny's been more understanding my workflow, my sporadic flights of inspiration. In turn, I've been learning when to actually entertain them beyond just making a few quick notes. It's a lesson you think two people have been together for so long would have learned early on, but stranger things have happened. If anything, it's a nice affirmation that even having been married for 20 years, having known each other for longer, there's still things we can learn about each other. Nah, it's too cold out for the beach anyhow. I think there's a new jazz club that's opened up a few blocks down. We could go there.
Oh yes, that sounds quite lovely, Xavier.
It's a date then. I lean back over and plant a kiss on Benny's cheek. He returns with a few pup-like licks to my muzzle for pulling away, his eyes glancing over the laptop.
Well, speaking of dates, we need to go get ready.
Oh right, the executive dinner party's tonight. Forgot about that.
That it is, Xavier. Got about an hour and a half before we need to be out the door. If you want you to come along, that is. I understand if you've got more writing you need to do.
Nope. I'm done for the evening. Can't leave you to face Janice's terrible stories all by yourself. I sit up from the couch as well, closing the laptop with one paw and pulling my phone out of my pocket with the other, setting it on top of the laptop. Benny smiles before wrapping an arm around my waist, pulling me in for a kiss.
Love you.
Love you more. And I really need a cup of tea now. It's been about 2 hours of solid talking. I hope you enjoyed that one. I certainly did enjoy it a lot. Especially towards the end, I do enjoy some noir movies myself. And I have things like The Maltese Falcon, The Big Sleep, the book versions as well. So I appreciated seeing some noir in there. So excellent work, Rainy Midwest Studios. I'm very happy I decided to do this one. I said I'm going to look at a couple more. I have one downloaded from the May Wolf Jam. I need to go through a bit more and consider doing that one. And I'll see what else might pop up and what I have time to do, as always. But what I do have time to do is find another terrible segue into saying thank you to all my donors on Ko-fi and Patreon. They just keep getting worse, I swear. And obviously a special mention to my top patrons. Well, Andy Peng, Samuto, Omar, Big Booty Judy, Silver Starbun, Volpers Need Coffee, Burnt Toast, Kartek, Govers Vissa, Lexi Bucciarati, Lark Huskerton, Bastian, Brian Hall, Fagakov, Ida Corval, Anubis Silverwind, Dissonance, Grizz, Spiderling, Kopi, Sindri Dragowolf, Marcus, Evan King, Exac, Aaron Fox, and Mohammed Al-Zamil. And coming up next week, we definitely have Chapter 2 of Starlight Falls. That is that short story I've been reading you. I'm going to try and slot in Monchi's latest Socially Awkward in the week. I haven't had a chance to play it yet. But if it's hopefully not too long, I will slide it in during the week as well as Starlight Falls. And next weekend, he says try and remember the schedule because I forgot to look at it earlier. I think we have scheduled some more after class. I've got to check through that. But it'll be one of the routes we're doing from after class next weekend. Until then, I hope you enjoyed Labour of Love. Am I going to say it? Oh, why not? I think it was a labour of love making this for the Rainy Midwest Studios, and I enjoyed making it. Okay, that's enough of the terrible jokes. I'm off here. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.